Hi, I'm Louise Cutting from Cutting Line Designs. I want to show you how to do mitered corners. An even mitered corner, an uneven mitered corner, and a very pointed mitered corner. All have different aspects that I want to go over with you. This particular style has a very acute angle as a mitered corner. So I drew in, black is not the easiest to film, so I drew in the line for the mitered corner on both of these. This, working with a mitered corner, will keep the bulk of the fabric down. So that is an acute mitered corner, as is this one. These have acute angles. They are even. The length, the width here and the width here is the same, but the angle is more than 90 degrees. And that is Snap to It. It's this particular style here. Ebb and Flow has an uneven mitered corner. The vent is narrower than the hem, and that is this view of Ebb and Flow. And so I'm going to show you that also. But we're going to start out with an even mitered corner because it's the easiest to work with. When I work with mitered corners, I lay it out on graph paper first. These tablets can be picked up in your office supply stores. This particular one has 1/4 inch grid. You can also pick up 1/8 inch grid. Those would be the only two I would suggest because they do have inch markings. So we're going to work with an even mitered corner. That means that the hem width and the turn back, whether it would be for a kick pleat or a vent on the side, are exactly the same width. So you want to draw in this particular one. I drew in at 2 inches. The hem would be folded up and the side would be folded in. So you can see exactly how the finished corner would look. But look what you have here. This is where most pattern companies fall down. They have you hem and they have you turn a vent in, but you have 1, 2, 3, 4 layers of fabric. And in certain fabrics, this can become bulky and what I always refer to, loving hands at home. It's the reason why people don't like to sew is because they turn out a homemade looking garment. We want to turn out a professional looking garment, so we want to do a mitered corner, which they do in the industry. We're going to put a little mark here, which is this line coming down, and we're going to put a little mark here, which is this line coming across. When we unfold those two, we have our line here, we have our line here, and we're going to take a straight edge, and we're going to draw from one to the other, and you'll notice through an even mitered corner, it goes right through where the two lines crossed. You want to put a seam allowance because you have to sew this up. And you can cut all of this away. This would be folded. I'm going to show it to you in fabric in a minute. This would be cut away. You're going to stitch right along your original line you drew, and you're going to have all that excess fabric will be gone. So this has been folded up, this has been folded in. You're doing these two marks, wherever the hem is coming and wherever the vertical is coming down. Those two have been marked. You're going to draw your line to connect those two, and it'll go right through the crosshairs. And you're going to give yourself a seam allowance, and all of that will be cut away. This is easier to do in paper than in the actual fabric. So if you have a pattern that does not have a mitered corner, you can easily draw off that section and do exactly these steps. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of my patterns have the mitered corners cut for you because I fell on the sword first and I know how to do it. So here is our fashion fabric with the hem folded up, the side folded in. here would be our stitching line. We're going to turn that and it will be pinned. I put a pin right into the line I drew to make sure that it's coming through on the line on the other side. And I stitch from the serged edge to my point and back stitch. This seam has been sewn, the corner has been clipped in the diagonal to the point, and this particular seam needs to be pressed open. I use a point press. This is an old piece of equipment. It's one of my absolute favorites. They're still being made. I carry them on my website, and you only need one for your whole life. And it's not a doorstop, so if it is sitting in your sewing room holding your door open, this is what it's used for. It's like a little baby ironing board. So that point is stuffed down inside here, and this is pressed open. We're then going to use our point turner and turn this right side out. Now the point turner lays in your hand, and you have the point and your thumb at about the same length. Your thumb goes up inside the point of the point turner, they pinch together, and this gets flipped up and over. And because you've pressed your seam allowance first, here is your angle, and you have no bulk down inside here, and it makes a very, very professional looking corner. This would then be steam-a-seamed in place and edge stitched and top stitched if you choose. So that's an even mitered corner. So let's do an uneven mitered corner. Here is an uneven mitered corner. You have a 2-inch hem, but you only have an inch for your fold back, which could be a vent in the side of a tunic. The same as what we did in the even. This vertical edge coming down, we're going to make a mark. The horizontal edge coming across, we're going to make a mark. Those two lines are going to be connected. Those two little dots will be connected just like what we did before, but you're going to see a very odd angle. But they also go right through the crosshairs. That math skill you learned in high school all of a sudden is going to be coming into production here. So when this gets turned, you're going to see the lines lay on top of each other. But we also have to go back in and make a seam allowance. So we're going to use our, I like these 18-inch clear rulers you can pick up at your big box fabric stores. I've also seen them at the office supply stores. I like a 3/8 inch seam allowance. It gives you a little bit to grab onto. Everything beyond here is going to be cut off, and this will be folded right sides together. I'm going to show you that in fabric. You want to press up your hem, turn in your side so that you have those folds first. Your line's been drawn that you're going to use for stitching, and you're going to turn it right side together, stab your pin through, and make sure that it's coming through on the line, and you want to have your heads of your pin sticking out of your fabric so that no matter which side you're going to sew on, you can pull your pins out. Start from your serged edge, back stitch, all the way to the other end, back stitch, and just like what we did in the even corner, we're going to clip that and get rid of it. When it's turned right side out, here's your narrow, here's your wide, and here's your mitered corner. These two styles are basically the same. This one is done the way a commercial pattern would have you do it. I will eventually take these out and redo the corners with the mitered corner. But here it has the hem folded, the side coming down, and all these layers. There's at least 6 layers of fabric in here. It gets very thick and bulky. This particular one has the mitered corner. It only has 2 layers, and it's very flat and crisp, and you have a much better look, more professional look. So I want to show you, this is an acute angle. These are very sharp angles past a 90-degree angle. So this is done a little differently in paper, and I want to show you how to do that. Here's our acute angle. You can see that the vertical is not at 90 degrees from the horizontal. You're basically going to do the same thing. You're going to fold it on what would be the fold line, and you're going to mark your little dots, same as you have before, but you can't go through the corner. You have to aim at the corner and aim away from the corner to be able to get the acute angle and to get all your fabric gone. So here is, you can see this line has a slight angle to it, and then here's your stitching line. So here's our stitching line here, that will be our cutting line, and all this would be cut away. So this particular one is drawn to the point, and the more this would be at an angle, the more these lines will start to turn. So here is our acute angle. You can see the point forming down here. There's our dot that we would be stitching to. Just like what we've done for the even and uneven, this too will have the pins put through to make sure that they're on both sides. And when it is stitched and turned, here's your acute angle. It too has the diagonal line, but it only has just the 2 layers, so you don't have all that thickness, especially in a dimensional linen like this.